Equity Group Foundation, or EGF in short, is a not-for-profit foundation established in Kenya in 2008. It is the social arm of Equity Group Holdings plc that operates in 6 countries in Eastern and Central Africa. The foundation seeks to transform the lives and livelihoods of the people of Africa through programs activated through 6 pillars. These are the education and leadership development, enterprise development and financial inclusion, food and agriculture, energy and environment, health, and social protection. So far, EGF has equipped more than 33 million people with economic opportunities, skills, tools, and technologies to prepare them for the future. Education and leadership development initiatives break the cycle of poverty and develop the next generation of leaders through increased access to secondary and tertiary education, impacting 26,304 students to date. Notably, EGF's Wings to Fly program admits bright scholars from needy backgrounds to transit to secondary school. The program has an over 96% secondary school completion, with 82% of scholars attaining university entry grades. Another signature initiative, the Equity Leaders Program, connects top-performing secondary school graduates to leadership training, coaching, and mentoring prior to proceeding to university. The program has 13,775 university scholars, 633 of whom are attending or are alumni of leading universities across the world. Under the Enterprise Development and Financial Inclusion pillar, EGF stimulates job creation and economic growth by providing micro, small and medium enterprises with advice and entrepreneurship training, and further improves financial capability and individual and household security by connecting people to expert financial education and access to financial services.
We are glad that our purpose distilled down to offering integrated financial services that socially and economically empower consumers, businesses, and communities have attracted the support of like-minded partners. I recognize the MasterCard Foundation for teaming with us to train 2.2 million bubbling young men and women to become entrepreneurs through a financial literacy program.
So far, 191,305 micro, small, and medium-sized business owners have been trained on entrepreneurship, with over 140,000 of the MSMEs have received 57.5 billion shillings under the Young Africa Works program, helping businesses to thrive. Through EGF's Food and Agriculture pillar, the program helps to create jobs, improve market access, and expand agricultural production by working in partnership with small and medium-sized farmers to increase their production capabilities and access technology and financial services. Under this pillar, 2 million small-scale farmers have transformed to farming as a business, while almost 40,000 small and medium-sized farmers have been supported to adopt modern methods of farming for increased yields. The focus of the Energy and Environment pillar is the conservation and smart use of natural resources by expanding forest cover, improving water security, and promoting the use of renewable energy and energy-efficient technologies. The pillar has impacted 780,000 households and businesses to access clean energy products, including solar panels for lighting and heating in homes, schools, and hotels. The pillar has encouraged installation of biodigesters for biogas for cooking and generating electricity to power on-farm activities. More than 240,000 households have embraced clean energy products, while 3.12 million trees have been planted to increase forest cover and conserve the environment. The health pillar provides access to comprehensive health financing and private sector-led, affordable, high-quality and standardized health services. So far, 33 Equity Afya franchise-owned medical clinics are operating in Kenya with more than 305,560 cumulative patient visits. Under the Social Protections Pillar, EGF has committed to reduce social and economic risk and vulnerability and alleviate extreme poverty and deprivation through cash transfers. It provides thousands of marginalized and vulnerable households living in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan with social payments through cash transfers. The foundation is involved in 22 programs across East and Central Africa, serving 3.3 million persons. So far, 77.4 billion shillings has been disbursed via equity cash transfer infrastructure. This is but a glimpse of the activities of EGF in our pursuit of championing the socio-economic prosperity of the African people. We invite you to learn more and join us. President Uhuru Kenyatta has unveiled the new brand of Equity BCDC in the Democratic Republic of Congo capital, Kinshasa. Equity BCDC is the newest subsidiary of Kenya's Equity Group Holdings PLC that has operations in Uganda, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and a representative office in Ethiopia. The president toured the head office located at the towering 18-story Equity Center building in Kinshasa, which will also serve as the head office for the Central Africa region. He congratulated Equity for the milestone of its successful acquisition, integration, and merger to create Equity BCDC.
I believe it is a moment of rare regional and continental pride as we witness our local enterprises coming together in the spirit of one Africa, one people. That with the merger of these two institutions, Equity BCDC becomes the second largest commercial bank in the Democratic Republic of Congo and among the leading joint financial investment entities in our region.
With the merger, Equity Group successfully combined BCDC's heritage of 112 years in the DRC market with its establishment track record in corporate banking.
This new entity has a balance sheet in excess of $3 billion, a nationwide footprint of 74 branches, 214 ATMs, 13 local dedicated desks, 3,055 agents, and a customer base of over 1 million people here in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
President Uhuru Kenyatta urged private sector investors to optimize on the opportunities availed by regional cooperation frameworks to create regional supply chains.
We are here today not only just because of this building, but also as a symbol of the best that Africa can achieve through working together. Today is a clear reminder and testimony of intra-Africa trade and cooperation. And on my part, I reaffirm the commitment of my administration to drive closer economic and social relations in both the region and across the continent.
The president commended regional financial networks such as Equity Group Holdings for playing an important role in the success of regional cooperation by providing a seamless intermediation across different markets.
Equity's growth is a story in itself. Since it was established as a building society in 1984 in a small town in rural Kenya, Equity Bank has grown into the largest financial company by market capitalization in East and Central Africa, an expansion that has had a significant impact on the economic and social transformation of our countries, the region, and our continent.
Et nous pensons que le dynamisme
We think the dynamism of the banking sector in Kenya will be replicated here in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We are implementing many projects within our banking system. For example, digitization, where we are testing the national banking card system called Mosolo in Lingala, where every bank has joined. I salute Equity's presence in DRC, a bank coming from the East African Community region, and we are together in COMESA with Kenya. We have already established a payment platform called REX for greater efficiency of payments in conformity with the digitization taking place across the world.
Nous serons présentes sur cette plateforme aujourd'hui parce que le monde se digitalise sur le plan financier et nous nous engageons sur cette voie.
Speaking during the ceremony, Equity Group Holdings PLC Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi said Equity BCDC has a unique capability to transform lives of the Congolese.
We thank you most sincerely, Mr. President, for championing regional integration and African Continental Free Trade Area framework, enabling the private sector to grow regional ambitions.
Dr. Mwangi said the expansion of equity in the region strengthens Kenya's position as a regional financial hub.
Championing Kenya as a regional financial center, we believe inspires financial sector to become a major exporter of financial services in the region, facilitating trade and integration.
Equity BCDC will replicate the group's business model of democratizing access to banking services.
Your Excellency, we succeeded in Kenya because of your government's policy of facilitating a private sector. We promise that as we come to DLC, we will carry out our activities as we have done in Kenya. And in so doing, we will strengthen the strong bonds between our two countries.
This is an important occasion. This is an occasion in which we are able to celebrate an innovative bank, a daring bank, a bank that takes risks and believes in the people of Africa.
As the second largest commercial bank in DRC, Equity BCDC has positioned itself as a one-stop shop to deepen financial inclusion through various channels. Equity Group Foundation, or EGF in short, is a not-for-profit foundation established in Kenya in 2008. It is the social arm of Equity Group Holdings PLC that operates in 6 countries in Eastern and Central Africa. The foundation seeks to transform the lives and livelihoods of the people of Africa through programs activated through 6 pillars. These are the education and leadership development, enterprise development and financial inclusion, food and agriculture, energy and environment, health, and social protection. So far, EGF has equipped more than 33 million people with economic opportunities, skills, tools, and technologies to prepare them for the future. Education and leadership development initiatives break the cycle of poverty and develop the next generation of leaders through increased access to secondary and tertiary education, impacting 26,304 students to date. Notably, EGF's Wings to Fly program admits bright scholars from needy backgrounds to transit to secondary school. The program has an over 96% secondary school completion, with 82% of scholars attaining university entry grades. Another signature initiative, the Equity Leaders Program, connects top-performing secondary school graduates to leadership training, coaching, and mentoring prior to proceeding to university. The program has 13,775 university scholars, 633 of whom are attending or are alumni of leading universities across the world. Under the Enterprise Development and Financial Inclusion pillar, EGF stimulates job creation and economic growth by providing micro, small and medium enterprises with advice and entrepreneurship training, and further improves financial capability and individual and household security by connecting people to expert financial education and access to financial services.
We are glad that our purpose distilled down to offering integrated financial services that socially and economically empower consumers, businesses and communities have attracted the support of like-minded partners. I recognize the MasterCard Foundation for teaming with us to train 2.2 million bubbling young men and women to become entrepreneurs through a financial literacy program.
So far, 191,305 micro, small, and medium-sized business owners have been trained on entrepreneurship, with over 140,000 of the MSMEs have received 57.5 billion shillings under the Young Africa Works program, helping businesses to thrive. Through EGF's Food and Agriculture pillar, the program helps to create jobs, improve market access, and expand agricultural production by working in partnership with small and medium-sized farmers to increase their production capabilities and access technology and financial services. Under this pillar, 2 million small-scale farmers have transformed to farming as a business, while almost 40,000 small and medium-sized farmers have been supported to adopt modern methods of farming for increased yields. The focus of the Energy and Environment pillar is the conservation and smart use of natural resources by expanding forest cover, improving water security, and promoting the use of renewable energy and energy-efficient technologies. The pillar has impacted 780,000 households and businesses to access clean energy products, including solar panels for lighting and heating in homes, schools, and hotels. The pillar has encouraged installation of biodigesters for biogas for cooking and generating electricity to power on-farm activities. More than 240,000 households have embraced clean energy products, while 3.12 million trees have been planted to increase forest cover and conserve the environment. The health pillar provides access to comprehensive health financing and private sector-led, affordable, high-quality and standardized health services. So far, 33 Equity Afya franchise-owned medical clinics are operating in Kenya, with more than 305,560 cumulative patient visits. Under the Social Protections pillar, EGF has committed to reduce social and economic risk and vulnerability and alleviate extreme poverty and deprivation through cash transfers. It provides thousands of marginalized and vulnerable households living in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan with social payments through cash transfers. The foundation is involved in 22 programs across East and Central Africa, serving 3.3 million persons. So far, 77.4 billion shillings has been disbursed via equity cash transfer infrastructure. This is but a glimpse of the activities of EGF in our pursuit of championing the socio-economic prosperity of the African people. We invite you to learn more and join us. President Uhuru Kenyatta has unveiled the new brand of Equity BCDC in the Democratic Republic of Congo capital, Kinshasa. Equity BCDC is the newest subsidiary of Kenya's Equity Group Holdings PLC that has operations in Uganda, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and a representative office in Ethiopia. The president toured the head office located at the towering 18-story Equity Center building in Kinshasa, which will also serve as the head office for the Central Africa region. He congratulated Equity for the milestone of its successful acquisition, integration and merger to create Equity BCDC.
I believe it is a moment of rare regional and continental pride as we witness our local enterprises coming together in the spirit of one Africa, one people. That with the merger of these two institutions, Equity BCDC becomes the second largest commercial bank in the Democratic Republic of Congo and among the leading joint financial investment entities in our region.
With the merger, Equity Group successfully combined BCDC's heritage of 112 years in the DRC market with its establishment track record in corporate banking.
This new entity has a balance sheet in excess of $3 billion, a nationwide footprint of 74 branches, 214 ATMs, 13 local dedicated desks, 3,055 agents, and a customer base of over 1 million people here in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
President Uhuru Kenyatta urged private sector investors to optimize on the opportunities availed by regional cooperation frameworks to create regional supply chains.
We are here today not only just because of this building, but also as a symbol of the best that Africa can achieve through working together. Today is a clear reminder and testimony of intra-Africa trade and cooperation. And on my part, I reaffirm the commitment of my administration to drive closer economic and social relations in both the region and across the continent.
The president commended regional financial networks such as Equity Group Holdings for playing an important role in the success of regional cooperation by providing a seamless intermediation across different markets.
Equity's growth is a story in itself. Since it was established as a building society in 1984 in a small town in rural Kenya, Equity Bank has grown into the largest financial company by market capitalization in East and Central Africa, an expansion that has had a significant impact on the economic and social transformation of our countries, the region, and our continent.
Et nous pensons que le dynamisme qu'imprime aujourd'hui.
We think the dynamism of the banking sector in Kenya will be replicated here in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Que ça soit sur le plan réglementaire, que ça soit sur le plan de digitalisation.
We are implementing many projects within our banking system. For example, digitization, where we are testing the national banking card system called Mosolo in Lingala, where every bank has joined. I salute Equity's presence in DRC, a bank coming from the East African Community region, and we are together in COMESA with Kenya. We have already established a payment platform called REX for greater efficiency of payments in conformity with the digitization taking place across the world.
Nous serons présentes sur cette plateforme aujourd'hui parce que le monde se digitalise sur le plan financier et nous nous engageons sur cette voie.
Speaking during the ceremony, Equity Group Holdings PLC Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi said Equity BCDC has a unique capability to transform lives of the Congolese.
We thank you most sincerely, Mr. President, for championing regional integration and African Continental Free Trade Area framework enabling the private sector to grow regional ambitions.
Dr. Mwangi said the expansion of equity in the region strengthens Kenya's position as a regional financial hub.
Championing Kenya as a regional financial center, we believe inspires financial sector to become a major exporter of financial services in the region, facilitating trade and integration.
Equity BCDC will replicate the group's business model of democratizing access to banking services.
Your Excellency, we succeeded in Kenya because of your government's policy of facilitating private sector. We promise that as we come to DLC, we will carry out our activities as we have done in Kenya. And in so doing, we will strengthen the strong bonds between our two countries.
This is an important occasion. This is an occasion in which we are able to celebrate an innovative bank, a daring bank, a bank that takes risks and believes in the people of Africa.
As the second largest commercial bank in DRC, Equity BCDC has positioned itself as a one-stop shop to deepen financial inclusion through various channels. Equity Group Foundation, or EGF in short, is a not-for-profit foundation established in Kenya in 2008. It is the social arm of Equity Group Holdings plc that operates in 6 countries in Eastern and Central Africa. The foundation seeks to transform the lives and livelihoods of the people of Africa through programs activated through 6 pillars. These are the education and leadership development, enterprise development and financial inclusion, food and agriculture, energy and environment, health, and social protection. So far, EGF has equipped more than 33 million people with economic opportunities, skills, tools, and technologies to prepare them for the future. Education and leadership development initiatives break the cycle of poverty and develop the next generation of leaders through increased access to secondary and tertiary education, impacting 26,304 students to date. Notably, EGF's Wings to Fly program admits bright scholars from needy backgrounds to transit to secondary school. The program has an over 96% secondary school completion, with 82% of scholars attaining university entry grades. Another signature initiative, the Equity Leaders Program, connects top-performing secondary school graduates to leadership training, coaching, and mentoring prior to proceeding to university. The program has 13,775 university scholars, 633 of whom are attending or are alumni of leading universities across the world. Under the Enterprise Development and Financial Inclusion pillar, EGF stimulates job creation and economic growth by providing micro, small, and medium enterprises with advice and entrepreneurship training, and further improves financial capability and individual and household security by connecting people to expert financial education and access to financial services.
We are glad that our purpose distilled down to offering integrated financial services that socially and economically empower consumers, businesses, and communities have attracted the support of like-minded partners. I recognize the MasterCard Foundation for teaming with us to train 2.2 million bubbling young men and women to become entrepreneurs through a financial literacy program.
So far, 191,305 micro, small, and medium-sized business owners have been trained on entrepreneurship, with over 140,000 of the MSMEs have received 57.5 billion shillings under the Young Africa Works program, helping businesses to thrive. Through EGF's Food and Agriculture pillar, the program helps to create jobs, improve market access, and expand agricultural production by working in partnership with small and medium-sized farmers to increase their production capabilities and access technology and financial services. Under this pillar, 2 million small-scale farmers have transformed to farming as a business, while almost 40,000 small and medium-sized farmers have been supported to adopt modern methods of farming for increased yields. The focus of the energy and environment pillar is the conservation and smart use of natural resources by expanding forest cover, improving water security, and promoting the use of renewable energy and energy-efficient technologies. The pillar has impacted 780,000 households and businesses to access clean energy products, including solar panels for lighting and heating in homes, schools, and hotels. The pillar has encouraged installation of biodigesters for biogas for cooking and generating electricity to power on-farm activities. More than 240,000 households have embraced clean energy products, while 3.12 million trees have been planted to increase forest cover and conserve the environment. The health pillar provides access to comprehensive health financing and private sector-led, affordable, high-quality and standardized health services. So far, 33 Equity Afya franchise-owned medical clinics are operating in Kenya with more than 305,560 cumulative patient visits. Under the Social Protections pillar, EGF has committed to reduce social and economic risk and vulnerability and alleviate extreme poverty and deprivation through cash transfers. It provides thousands of marginalized and vulnerable households living in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan with social payments through cash transfers. The foundation is involved in 22 programs across East and Central Africa, serving 3.3 million persons. So far, 77.4 billion shillings has been disbursed via equity cash transfer infrastructure. This is but a glimpse of the activities of EGF in our pursuit of championing the socio-economic prosperity of the African people. We invite you to learn more and join us. President Uhuru Kenyatta has unveiled the new brand of Equity BCDC in the Democratic Republic of Congo capital, Kinshasa. Equity BCDC is the newest subsidiary of Kenya's Equity Group Holdings PLC that has operations in Uganda, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and a representative office in Ethiopia. The president toured the head office located at the towering 18-story Equity Center building in Kinshasa, which will also serve as the head office for the Central Africa region. He congratulated Equity for the milestone of its successful acquisition, integration, and merger to create Equity BCDC.
I believe it is a moment of rare regional and continental pride as we witness our local enterprises coming together in the spirit of one Africa, one people. That with the merger of these two institutions, Equity BCDC becomes the second largest commercial bank in the Democratic Republic of Congo and among the leading joint financial investment entities in our region.
With the merger, Equity Group successfully combined BCDC's heritage of 112 years in the DRC
Shall we pray? Oh, Heavenly Father, we want to thank you this morning as we bow before thy throne of grace, thanking you for the gift of life. We also want to thank you for the gift of a wonderful day that you have given us today. We bless you for this gathering as we witness a partnership between Equity Group, an Equity Group Foundation, and United Nations system here in Kenya. We want to pray that, Lord, you bless us and bless this meeting, blessing all the facilitators and all the activities that are within this program. We also want to ask you, by your presence, acknowledging that you are supreme, you are the creator of heaven and earth and the owner of the fullness thereof. We ask your presence to be with us in this meeting and give us success. We thank you and we bless you. For this we pray in your holy and precious name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Allow me to invite Dr. Beth Wawero to come and make a few remarks on behalf of Equity Group Foundation. And thereafter, Dr. Wawero, you can invite the UN Kenya Agency representative to make her remarks. Dr. Beth.
Good morning, everyone. It's a cold morning, but it's very warm in our hearts for us to be here. This is something that has been in the works for a few months. So we are appreciative for you making the time to be with us. And we want to have a brief session this morning to just talk about our partnerships. And before I do that, I would wish to introduce my colleagues on whose behalf I'm standing here. In the foundation, our colleagues in the UN, as you know, we are structured around social pillars, and I'd want to start by introducing Anthony. Anthony heads our financial inclusion and enterprise development pillar that concerns itself with creating jobs for young people, as well as empowering women and youth and entrepreneurs on those lines. Thank you, Anthony. I'd want to introduce Eric Naivasha. Eric Naivasha leads our energy and environment pillar. Again, looking at the goals of how do we live in a greener environment, as well as supporting people to transition to cleaner fuels. Thank you, Eric. I have Sarah Lynn behind him. Sarah Lynn leads our social protection pillar. And Sarah Lynn Wairima is the one who helps to coordinate our social safety nets across Kenya and in the region at large. Thank you, Sarah Lynn. Then I'll cross over to Joanne. Dr. Joanne Corril is a medical doctor by profession. She leads our health pillar. Again, looking at how do we provide access to quality healthcare in an affordable manner. Thank you, Joanne. Then we have Esther Moirori at the back. Esther concerns herself with food and agriculture and supports us to look at how do we support people to grow their crops more sustainably, as well as move them to agribusiness, concerning herself around food security. I think we also have support pillars that allow us to not just do, but how do we measure? So Matthew Ngonga leads our monitoring and evaluation pillar and allows us to be accountable for every resource that we put out there. Thank you, Matthew. And then last but not least, we have Penny Kimani. Penny Kimani concerns herself with finance and as well as helping us make sure that our contracts and our partnerships and program implementation is up to par. So thank you, Penny. I don't think I've left anyone. Okay, so thank you. Today my remarks, I think, will concern themselves around three things. So the first one is around championing. I think as Equity, what we have picked as our vision is to champion the socioeconomic prosperity across the continent. And we do this through dignity, which is actually anchored as part of our purpose. And just to give an example of that is that when we look at the customers that we serve, the communities in which we have our presence, we see there are solutions that we cannot provide from an economic engine. So hence our social interventions across the pillars that I've just mentioned. And in championing, we also see that we play a role of being a catalyzer of doing social good in community. Just to give an example, we are currently looking at onboarding about 11,000 students over the next few months to come into our scholarship program. One of the things that has inspired us and amazed us is how communities have come forward because it's not equity that selects. We have inspired over 3,000 community leaders to come and identify these young children who will come into the program. Again, this is one way of seeing how we make the goal of SDG 4 of education and bring it to the very low level at a community level. How do you drive that? They do not just select them, they hold them to account in terms of how they perform. So again, we look to see how we can inspire and using our network to be able to leverage that. And we hope that the partnerships that we have with the UN will allow us to scale up on that, taking a championing role. The second one is also just related to championing is how do we bring to bear some of the solutions to global problems? So what we have seen over the years since we started doing our interventions, we have aligned ourselves to all the UN SDGs, but more importantly, we have aligned ourselves to the local development programs at a national level. So you will find if it's around the Big Four, if it's around health, the interventions that we have provided in health, if it's around food security. So we properly align and we move policy into action. And that has been one of our key strengths, so championing that. My second point is around collaboration. And I think if anything, your presence today here is a testament of that. What Equity decided to do is to leverage on, provide its platform about their infrastructure, our IT systems, our staff capacity, and see how we can leverage that for partnerships, for collaboration. And just to give a few examples, I think what I mentioned for Sarah Lynn, she leads an intervention that supports more than 18 agencies to provide payments to social, for doing social good. The key thing is creating a neutral platform such that any other partner who would wish to come on can layer on top. I can give a second example of the Wings to Fly program. It's not called an equity program. We have multiple partners who have come on board simply because they see the benefit of using whatever has already been set out to extend and scale up their doing good. We have programs, what Anthony leads on social, on financial inclusion, where we've had long-term partners such as ILO, UNDP, and also UN Women to provide financial literacy training. And what we have done, once we do the social part, we must link it also to a financial product. So we have a Fanikisha product that allows women to scale up on the economic front. And I can give a lot more examples. Kilimo Biashara, where we have worked with the UN agencies, IFA, WFP, FAO, the Cereal Enhancement Program. So its collaboration is something that I think we have done well over the years with the UN, and this is an opportunity for us to see how we scale up and how we bring more partners on board. Then my last point is around compounding. We have also seen an opportunity for us to compound our interventions such that the needs at a household level are not, if you see a health outcome in a household level, it could be driven because of lack of access to finance. And I'll give an example, maybe drawing from the strength that I have in energy and environment. We have looked at how do you combine SDG challenges and provide solutions to them. We have currently in our population of students, they're across 1,600 schools, and whereas they're there in school to learn, we can use them, and we have used them as agents of change of tree planting. But besides tree planting, how do you mobilize the schools to, again, move to cleaner fuels? All these schools use wood fuel. Can we convert them to LPG so that you're also addressing the other SDGs related to the environment, to water, to climate change? The other one is an intervention of providing solar lanterns to these children so they can extend their learning hours. So we have found novel ways of being able to combine that. I can give another example in agriculture, working together with energy on biogas. Again, we have a concrete way of being able to address this, and maybe the benefit, and Dr. Mwangi may mention that, is because of our large customer base, we are able to see the challenges that our farmers, our entrepreneurs, our children face, and how we can creatively solve for them. I think my last point is around how we have chosen to anchor ourselves. I was very pleased to look at the UN Global Compact, the 10 principles that govern them. And they're very, very much aligned to our 8 principles of programming in our social impact work. We look at how all our interventions must be scalable, all our interventions must be sustainable. They are, again, lined up with directly or indirectly to the business model, because the business model is what provides the strength of our execution. We leverage on our partnerships, and again, we embody community ownership and community growth. So that collectively, as a nation, as I said, we champion the socioeconomic outcomes. And championing means that we invite others to come on board. So I'm very pleased, Dr. Jackson and your team, to have you on board today and to see how we take this to the next level. Thank you very much for your attention. And with that, I'd love to invite Arif. Arif, please come to the stage. And Arif is the one who helps us, especially in coordinating from the resident coordinator's office. He's been phenomenal in trying to get us to see how we can structure this partnership. And Arif, feel free to welcome Dr. Mwangi after this. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. A pleasure and a delight to be here. This is a very special day for us. It's a milestone. And let me first start with thanking Dr. James Mwangi for his hospitality and his generosity, colleagues from the Equity Bank Group. I'm not new to the Equity Bank Group in that I've attended every single graduation ceremony of Wings to Fly, and worked very closely with the Equity Group Foundation for almost 15 years. So very happy to be here. I am the Senior Advisor for Strategic Partnerships in the UN Resident Coordinator's Office, or Dr. Stephen Jackson's office. And I coordinate a unique platform that we've co-created with the government of Kenya called the SDG Partnership Platform. To follow on from the remarks that were just made, I'll focus a little more on the SDG Partnership Platform, and this resonates, I think, extremely well with the principles and the key thrusts that have just been described that the Equity Bank subscribes to. I think a lot of the principles you referred to, we of course sit on the UN Global Compact board for Kenya. Dr. Stephen Jackson, the RC, is driving that. But to really say that I think the key criteria and principles actually flow through the DNA of both organizations, if I can summarize it that way. By way of background, the SDG Partnership Platform was co-created jointly between the UN system in Kenya and the government of Kenya. And the government launched it at the UN General Assembly in September 2017 with the comment that every conference has standard announcements about partnerships, goal number 17. We've all heard that in every conference. The Kenya government made the point at the General Assembly that what we need is a concrete ecosystem on the ground in Kenya to bring multi-stakeholder partners together and, as Betty mentioned, move from policy to action. How do you drive a partnership between a private investor, a blended finance partner, a UN agency, a county government, an innovator, and a university? Those are the ecosystem partnerships that we've been excited to drive. And this was preceded by about 3 years of joint presentations between the government of Kenya and the UN system at World Economic Forums in Davos, in Rwanda, in Durban, 3 UN General Assembly side events, where we jointly presented the notion of a platform with the government of Kenya and the UN system in Kenya. The role of the platform, essentially, is to bring value to all stakeholders. And we want to go beyond this traditional notion of, I think private sector was traditionally thought about by a lot of partners, donors, and non-profits. And I come from the private sector. I used to run Société Générale, the French bank, and the Aga Khan Foundation. The notion was in the past that, private sector is nice to have, you buy them lunch and then ask them to open their checkbooks and then write some CSR contributions. I think we've moved beyond that. I think we're really looking at going into a deeper strategic partnerships. This is not about transactional partnerships. And so the role here in working with the Equity Bank Group, and we're very excited that we will do this, is to convene, connect, and catalyze multi-stakeholder partnerships, SDG investments, and financing. It's about partnerships, investments, and financing, because that's where you're creating long-term sustainable impacts, as Betty said, linked to business models that go beyond short-term grants, beyond short-term political cycles, and beyond short-term fiscal cycles. And we've seen for over 57 years in Kenya, there's been this huge dependency on grant funding. But guess what? We're now a lower middle income country. Financial flows have changed. Embassies are closing their grant funding. They're moving from aid to trade. We need to move from SDG funding to financing. And that's where the power of banks like the Equity Bank and the partnership with the UN can be tremendously helpful to the government and people of Kenya in making this transition. So the SDG platform, as it was launched in September 2017, was followed 3 months later by President Kenyatta announcing his Big Four agenda for his last 5-year legacy term. And Betty mentioned again, we all subscribe to the policies, the Vision 2030, the MPT3, the Big Four agenda. And of course, we see these as clusters of SDGs. So ultimately, it's about driving SDGs. Within months, what we did was we structured the platform across the Big Four agenda in terms of windows. We created a multi-partner trust fund in New York that becomes a very transparent vehicle for attracting resources, for bringing in multi-stakeholder partners, and for driving this very transparently through an open website that can be accessed by anyone and track every single dollar. So measurement, accountability, those are the same principles that were referred to earlier on. And what does the platform really do? So what we do is we bring in development partners, bilaterals, multilaterals, we bring in private sector companies, we bring in foundations. We've got Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation, Conrad and Hilton Foundations, a number of foundation partners. We bring in companies that are interested in that particular sector. And what we do is we curate with them business opportunities for growing long-term market opportunities that also create social impacts. So it's this dance between creating wealth and creating social impacts. It's the shared value dance, it's the profit with purpose dance. That's what we need to do in terms of long-term sustainable flows. It's nice to have CSR, it's nice to have grants. Let's make hay while the sun shines, but let's use those to trigger long-term financial flows. Each window is co-chaired by the relevant minister. So in health, it's the Minister for Health, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, the head of the Council of Governors for the Health Committee, and the relevant UN agencies, so the H6 agencies, which are led by UNAIDS as the coordinator, but include UNICEF, WHO, UNFPA, World Bank, UN Women. In food and nutrition security, again, chaired by the CS, supported by his PS, the chairman of the Council of Governors Agriculture Committee, and also the relevant UN agencies, which are the Rome-based agencies who work already closely with Equity, which are IFAD, World Food Programme, and FAO. And then we bring in private sector companies, we bring in multi-stakeholder partners. So the idea is that window by window, we're able to unlock investment pipelines. One of the issues we also found was that some of the work we needed to do, for example, in health, was really to focus on primary healthcare. As a country with 47 million Kenyans, we can't afford to go to secondary and tertiary healthcare. We need to have early detection. We need to have promotive and preventive health on the ground with communities at household level. I've been involved in setting up heart and cancer centers in Kenya, for example. Great business, PET scans and CAT scans, but that's not what helps Kenya. What helps Kenya at the larger level is to address issues at community level. Of course, you need your referral systems and you need your tertiary hospital systems. When we went out and tried to attract private sector partners to work on initiatives and investments in primary healthcare, we found a bit of caution, because hitherto, some of you old-timers like me might remember the Alma-Ata conference and the Declaration of Health for All by 2000. And we rushed in, on those days I used to run Aga Khan Foundation, we rushed in and created this large primary healthcare programs in Western Kenya. But guess what? They had to be entirely funded by government subsidies and in fact, even more so by grants. So the question was, where is the bankable opportunity for private sector to get into primary healthcare? And what we did was we commissioned a study supported by the US government that McKinsey did for us, and we identified a staggering fact that there's a $6 billion growth opportunity in primary healthcare investments in Kenya for the private sector. And we were quite amazed ourselves that it was such a large figure. And we went in and drilled deeper, and we identified subsectors: diagnostics, risk pooling, pharma, referral hubs and spokes models like we're doing in Makueni and a few other counties. And we discovered that, in fact, there are growth opportunities in these subsectors. We identified the deal sizes and the margins. Now, that created a 10-point action plan to mobilize private sector investments. And it allowed us, within a couple of years, to grow investment pipelines to $165 million so far, and growing. So the opportunity is really to uncover the potential for primary healthcare investments in Kenya. We've now been focusing on food and nutrition security. And in food and nutrition security, we're seeing incredible opportunities. Around post-harvest loss, we know 30 to 40% of Africa's harvest is lost. After all that investment is lost because of post-harvest loss, cold chains, storage, et cetera, et cetera. We have a tremendous opportunity on value addition. We know that for decades, we've been selling, in most cases, raw commodities, raw hides and skins. So here's the opportunity for us to really deepen our manufacturing base and deepen our value addition in agro-food processing particularly. I think the COVID pandemic has also made us realize that we need to become the masters not only of our development process, but masters of our supply chains. To the extent that we are dependent on supply chains from the outside, we are vulnerable. So how do you fast-track manufacturing? So we're now driving the manufacturing window with UNIDO and the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. And what we're trying to look at is initiatives around vaccine manufacturing, around ARV manufacturing, a lot of initiatives around low-cost housing, 3D printing, et cetera, et cetera. So the opportunity for us to really work across all of these sectors with a partner like Equity Bank is tremendous. One of the key points I want to also raise is that when you have such partnerships that are built on business models, you need to lubricate these partnerships. And what you need really is private capital. Public capital is hugely constrained, debt service and recurrent salaries. We need private capital. And we need organizations like Equity Bank that can deploy private capital on the ground in terms of business lending, in terms of business models, and appropriate ticket sizes and appropriate terms and conditions so that communities can actually engage. I'm a huge fan of Equity Bank because what I saw from the old colonial banks, if I might say, where the average fruit hawker on the street would be too intimidated to walk into that red carpeted hall, Equity turned the entire model on its head. You now had a bank that focused on those that were unbanked in those days. It's about financial deepening. And that has given us some of the most powerful organizations in East and Central Africa, like Equity Bank. So given that model, we see Equity Bank as having the same DNA, the same priority and principles that we have in the UN and in the SDG Partnership Platform. So we're very excited. We're looking at this opportunity of leveraging the UN's comparative strengths. We are an honest broker. We are able to bring partners together. We have no particular vested interest except social impacts on the ground, economic impacts on the ground, and Equity Bank's principles. I think they mesh together extremely well, and we're very excited to see how we can take this forward. I'd like to thank, once again, Dr. Mwangi, the whole team at Equity Bank. I'd like to thank the resident coordinator and my colleagues at the UN, Sari and Stephen, some of our colleagues that are in the platform and working with us. And then special thanks to Joy, who has been my compatriot here, where we've been trying to move things along quite actively and quite feverishly to make sure that this becomes a very successful initiative. And I'd like to look back 5 years from now and look at the achievements that we've made. So this is not a talk shop. We were really excited about moving this into action. And we give you our commitment about how closely we would like to work with you and how quickly we would like to work with you on the ground. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and look forward to the launch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth and Aliv. Great words there. Aliv, I was expecting you to invite me to speak, but I realized you were very careful to invite me while home. Thank you very much for the very generous words, the comparisons and all that. Dr. Stephen Jackson, UN Resident Coordinator for Kenya. Ulrika Fernandazia, Head of UN Resident Representative's Office. Aliv Neke, a friend and Senior Advisor, UN Strategic Partnership, National Coordinator, Sustainable Development Goal Partnership Platform. Zenabu Khalif, Development Coordination Office, Partnership and Finance. Mwendo Kiogora, Communications and Advocacy Office. Sally Safan, Food and Nutrition Security Specialist. Stephen Geshohi, Coordinator, Generation Unlimited. My colleagues from the bank, our friends, ladies and gentlemen, today is a day like no other. Equity has focused to grow on partnerships. Equity has always focused on seeking partnerships. We have championed collaboration for like-minded partners, but we haven't had in the past a partnership and a collaboration of this magnitude with the United Nations. And for that reason, we see it as a very, very unique day, ushering us and raising the standards of collaboration and partnership for the Equity Group. The second, thank you very much. And truly, it's because the partnership brings a formidable partner, a global partner, one with a global reputation, celebrating nearly 75 years since the founding of the UN. Equity is only 38 years. So we are humble enough to know that we now have shoulders of a giant that we can cling on. The reputation that UN has, and that explains why we are signatories and members of Compact, so that we could pick the lessons, particularly on governance, that the UN has been able to assemble over the years. The ability to mobilize and to influence is so significant that we can't wait to launch this program. We have first had experience by partnering with individual UN initiatives, like we talked, which thematic area has a partnership, but that has always been at agency level, not at the UN level. But we are now bringing it all together, and almost working in a coordinated, deliberate, and intentional way. Anytime we have collaborated with the UN, it has resulted into big outcomes. And I want to speak about two, the UN Women. Everybody today is struggling about gender equality. But if you saw the heads of the pillars in UN, in the foundation, and maybe I may ask them to start. Esther, if you look at that team, it tells you it's 4 gentlemen and 5 ladies. Equality here has been exceeded. That is equity for you. And we learned a lot from UN Women championing the cause. But as Beth said, we reaction. If we look at, thank you very much, colleagues. If we look at the bank, maybe the directors in the room from the group can start. You can see again, it's 50-50 on that side. That is equality, gender equality for Equity Group. We practice what we say. So I want to assure you, Dr. Stephen and your colleagues, that whatever we put our pen on and sign on, it's about execution. It's about execution. We believe and acknowledge that integrity is doing what you say. So be assured from the onset that this will be something that we will deliberately pursue until we look back, like Khalif said, with the satisfaction that we forged an alliance, that we executed and made a big, big difference. Alif has really explained that the UN agency have already created a big coordination office towards the sustainable development. It has created a platform for partnerships and collaboration and coordination of that collaboration. And there is a framework upon which. So for us, Equity, we felt the partnership and collaboration using the SDG framework really gives us an advantage of a fast mover advantage because we are not creating, we are adopting and learning with execution. And those who know Equities is a creation of execution. We may not ever claim to have very solid and very strong strategies, but we believe they reflect us, but we claim excellence in execution because we know that's what makes a difference. What makes a difference is not the quality of the strategy, it's the quality and comprehensiveness of the execution. So partnering with UN, we have tested and proven the strategy of the Sustainable Development Goal is very, very informed, is very, very integrated, taking all the facets that would make a difference in humanity, and setting 17 goals, but more importantly, creating mechanism of measuring and reporting achievement of those goals. And we said, then the strategy is right, the strategy is strong, it has attracted collaboration and partnership, so ours will be measured by execution. So combining that capability of formulating by the UN and execution by Equity, we believe will make a very significant difference. And in making a significant difference, we'll be furthering the purpose of Equity Bank or Equity Group, as we now like calling ourselves. As you can see, it's just equity. And in furthering that purpose, we see a lot of lives transformed, livelihoods enhanced. We see dignity enhanced for our people, and we see opportunities expanded. So, Stephen, that is why we are very, very excited, because we are being called to do what we do every day. We are furthering our purpose. And our mission, as all those who are familiar with us, is to champion socio-economic transformation of Africa. The end goal of the social development goals is socio-economic development of the people. So we are achieving everything that we have set ourselves to do through this collaboration. Alif has told us that we'll be using the partnership and collaboration framework that is already in place, the SGD partnership platform. We have signed to it. It has the advantage of bringing other like-minded persons, but our main contribution on the platform is to pick everything the UN wish to achieve, pack it with the efforts of everybody else, and bring the capability of equity in financing. The UN, if I have understood right, would wish to move from grants to more sustainable financing programs. And Equity's strength is financing. As we speak, Equity has funds up to 1.1 trillion shillings. 100 billion in long-term funding contributed from loans with the development banks, a capital of 150 billion shillings, and the balance of 950 is customers' deposits. And collaborating with UN then allows us to put on the partnership platform up to 600 billion shillings, because we have only given out of 11 billion US dollars, we have only given 5 billion shillings in loans. So we have $6 billion available to be put as oxygen to this partnership platform to finance the dreams and aspirations that the platform will be nurturing within the communities. We think the effort will be very fast because UN agency have the infrastructure of its 27 agents. They will help us de-risk the financing by building capacity on the people, lobbying with the government, which is also on the platform, for the right policies, for the right incentives. So I would say it's operating at an optimal platform where government puts the right incentives, the right policy, the UN help to build human capacity of the beneficiaries through training, guarantees, and this platform also have people like MasterCard Foundation, the development banks, all coming and coordinating the effort. Out of the 600 billion Kenya shillings, or 6 billion US dollars that Equity is deploying, we expect between 5 and 6 million micro, small, and medium enterprises to benefit from financing within the region. This initiative of the UN is of a regional nature. We have signed at Uganda level with the Uganda resident representative. We are looking forward to signing in Rwanda, Uganda, and DRC. I think for 2, Rwanda and DRC, the agreements are ready, so it's purely signing. and we're hoping we'll be able to bring South Sudan on the table. By financing between 5 and 6 million enterprises, we are humbly convinced that each of these enterprises will create a minimum of 5 jobs. The large enterprises will create up to 100 jobs. But in our humility, we want to take the minimum, 5 million jobs for each of the enterprise. And taking the minimum, 5 million enterprises, we see ourselves creating 25 million direct jobs. And by creating 5 million jobs, we will alleviate the challenge that our youth are confronted with of a jobless market. So we're saying the engine of job creation is enterprises. And as enterprises create jobs, they will also create markets for the through low products or inputs that they sought from the community. And we are hoping this will create resilience in East and Central Africa economic framework, in the sense that the youth will get these jobs that enables them to contribute, one, to looking after their households, but more importantly, to the economic activities that create wealth in the region, and more importantly, help to ensure everybody has skin in the game, and as a result, promote peaceful coexistence. This year is a very special year where Equity was recognized with the Business Nobel Laureate Prize, the Oslo Business for Peace Award. So if the outcome will be peace, then we'll just be affirming what we have been good at. In 2012, Equity was recognized as the World Enterprise of the Year by Ernst & Young. We believe we have the moral courage and the moral claim to entrepreneurship as an organization, having used entrepreneurship to propel ourselves from number 66 out of 66 to the largest bank in East and Central Africa. And we are hoping that out of the 5 million enterprises, 200 years to come will mirror what Equity has become. If you look at data, an asset base of 11 billion US dollars, 1.1 trillion, is slightly above 10% of the GDP of this country. That is the kind of enterprises we hope will be the outcome of this initiative. And we'll all look back and say, yes, we caused change. But if we don't cause change, we'll say we helped build better after COVID. That we led the East and Central Africa to build back better, where everybody got a chance to realize their dreams, to participate, and hence create resilience in East and Central Africa. That's all that we are looking for. And we wish then to appeal to the citizens of East and Central Africa, and specifically Kenya, because the launch today is in Kenya, to come to the platform to be counted in this initiative of building back better and creating a more resilient Kenya, where everybody has a skin in the game, and where the outcome will be better lives, lives will be transformed, livelihoods will be enhanced, and opportunities will be scaled for our young people. That is the call, that's the rallying call, that's what we all wish we'll be able to achieve And it's for that reason then we are very excited. And today is a day like no other, because we have confidence and trust in our partner, the UN system, because it has proven itself over the last 75 years or so. And it has built a brand of care and empathy and led initiatives that are people-centered. And this helps Equity also to come closer to ensuring its programs are all people-centered. And that is where the right place, where the business and economy builds trust with the host communities, because host community is becoming a beneficiary. 25 million jobs directly, most likely will create another 25 million jobs indirectly that supports the enterprises that we are funding to create these jobs. And in the process then, 50 million people in a region of 350 million people will help to anchor trust between business, economy, and society. And what the world need most at the moment, and particularly our region, is trust between the private sector and communities. And Dr. Stephen, UN midwifing the building of that trust. It couldn't have done a better law at a time like this, post-COVID, so that we don't rebuild back what we had. We have all learned the challenges of the world we were living in, a very unequal world where we didn't care about leaving others behind. The UN platform allows us to build a world where nobody is left behind, a world where everybody has skin in the game, and where trust exists between economy and community and society. And it's with that in mind, that is now my singular honor, Dr. Stephen Jackson, to invite you as a friend, as a colleague that we intellectually seem to enjoy holding each other to conversations, but also as the UN resident coordinator for Kenya, to come and then really articulate the leadership the UN is taking in this partnership. Dr. Stephen.
Dr. James Mwangi, my friend, my brother, my colleague, and our partner, dear friends. Today we mark a milestone. We're signing a new strategic partnership between UN Kenya, our SDG public-private partnership platform, and Equity Bank Group that you lead, James, with our ambition to scale up and build on and accelerate the activities that we have so fruitfully seen into being already. For UN Kenya, signing this partnership with you today is testimony to the importance that we attach, that I attach, to the private sector's key role in delivering sustainable economic and social development for Kenya and in Kenya and by Kenya, ultimately to improve the lives of all of Kenya's people and leave no one behind. And indeed, as you've so eloquently said, James, beyond Kenya's borders to the entirety of Eastern and Central Africa. Kenya's burgeoning, bustling private sector is the engine of her economy, something clearly attested to in the Vision 2030 blueprint for Kenya. But friends, it's a matter of almost religious faith for me that without the energies, without the expertise of the private sector, Kenyan and international, we will simply never reach the paradise of sustainable development. We will never hit the sustainable development goals. And the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has been a really leading, strong proponent of structured and systematic platforms, spaces, partnerships for productive engagement between the UN system and the private sector, globally and at country level. And this is part of the driving spirit, by the way, of the UN reform process that the SG catalyzed since 2019, with the ambition to remake the United Nations as fit for purpose in the 21st century. So this partnership between UN Kenya, the SDG platform, and Equity Bank Group that we're launching today is simply groundbreaking. And it is testimony also, James, to your visionary leadership. Dr. Mwangi, you are one of the most respected private sector icons in Kenya and globally. And I'm confident that this step that you're taking, that we're taking today, will inspire others in the private sector to step up and follow. Because you're providing an example to emulate, an example of how one can create economic and social benefit realized simultaneously with profit, realizing shared value, the so-called triple bottom line, or what might simply be termed profit with purpose. Dr. Mwangi, dear James, in leading Equity Bank Group, you've demonstrated deep and continuing concern and generosity for uplifting others, especially those in underprivileged, marginalized, or disadvantaged populations. And I know this personally, as I had the pleasure of telling you, James. I was in Kakuma refugee camp on Monday to mark International Refugee Day, and everywhere I went, I heard the phrase Equity Bank. Everywhere I went, refugees spoke to me with enthusiasm of the fact that for the first time they had access to banking accounts and allied banking services. And this is actually a concrete example of exactly what we mean. Sometimes these kinds of partnership can remain a bit abstract. And when we talk about profit with purpose, it can remain a bit abstract. But think about it. Refugees, for the first time, have access to banking services. As a result of that, there are already 2,500 small businesses thriving in the refugee camp in Kakuma and the settlement nearby in Kalobey. And as a result of those 2,500 small businesses, one consequence is that the county government has been able to raise between 2 and 3 million a year in terms of local revenue. So there's a feedback loop, there's a virtuous cycle. And this is exactly what we mean by profit with purpose and with social impact. You've also placed a particular emphasis, James, on the opportunity and the challenge of youth and gender, the informal sector. All of these sections of the community with such a vital role to play in sustainable development, but in different ways at risk of being left behind. Friends, as my colleague Arif already said, Kenya has successfully joined the ranks of the middle-income countries, and as a result of which, you get punished for your success in some ways. Kenya is less able to avail of traditional grant in aid than it was. And it's also more debt worthy. So donors are increasingly shifting from aid to trade, from funding to financing. And with the impact of COVID-19, we're also seeing a Kenya that is increasingly constrained in terms of its public financing possibilities as a result of debt servicing and recurrent costs. These factors together leave relatively little traditional discretionary funding to accelerate Kenya towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And we only have 9 years left until 2030, the horizon for the Sustainable Development Agenda. So we must urgently shift, transform, disrupt our sustainable development paradigm. And Kenya must complete the transition from SDG funding to SDG financing. And that's just one more reason why we're so proud and excited today, James, friends, to be signing this partnership with you, so that together we can create and we can catalyze innovative investments, financing, and further partnerships to sustain development efforts over the long term. This is the spirit that drove us in UN Kenya to pioneer our SDG partnership platform in partnership with the Government of Kenya, launched at the General Assembly in 2017. UN Kenya's support to Kenya's government and people hinges on engendering economic growth that is increasingly resilient, green, inclusive, equitable, and creates the decent jobs and the quality livelihoods for all that, James, you've spoken about today with such passion and commitment. We're indeed very fortunate in Kenya to have such a vibrant private sector, but also one of the largest UN footprints in the Global South, with over 26 United Nations agencies, funds, and programs striving daily to better the lives of Kenyans and of Kenya. So this combination together, for me, is a winning one. It shows massive promise for unlocking impactful and scalable public-private partnerships across multiple thematic areas encompassing all of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And we really look forward to taking this journey with Equity Bank Group and with you, Dr. James Mwangi, as a trailblazer for innovative partnership in Kenya, in East and Central Africa, and in the world. Let me just briefly say a word about the challenge and opportunity of youth. Kenya's youth demographic is a matter of mutual priority for both of our institutions, and we're fully in support of President Kenyatta's call for action during the launch of the Generation Unlimited initiative as a broader aggregation of the manifold youth initiatives underway in Kenya and indeed globally. Equity Bank Group's track record in supporting youth skilling, entrepreneurship, employment, education is second to none. And we congratulate you on your flagship programs like Wings to Fly that are creating the leaders of tomorrow for Kenya. And this engagement with youth is something that I believe we can really build on together and kick into hyperspace so that we can envision together moonshot programs that can transform the lives and livelihoods of the 3/4 of Kenya's population under the age of 34. Dr. Mwangi, dear friends, let me conclude by saying that this is the next step in an exciting journey that we're taking together, a journey to unleash our comparative advantages and to innovate, co-create, and expand the scope of impacts that we can make in Kenya by coming together around carefully selected, targeted opportunities. We're deeply excited by the promise of the partnership. We're energized by the potential for real, enduring economic and social impact. And we are enticed by our shared opportunity to create a world-class public-private model that others can emulate in Kenya and beyond. I want to thank you once again, and as I close, you'll know that the UN is a global organization, more than 75 years old. We are huge, we like to think that we're influential, but we're also modest. And so we're not given to awards, we're not given to great prizes. What we do is symbolic. And so I'd like to do something very small indeed, and symbolic today. I have with me a simple SDG pin, which is the logo of the Sustainable Development Goals. And remember, friends, that Kenya, and by coincidence, let me turn it so you can see it, there we are. Kenya and Ireland, my home country, were the two countries that gavelled the General Assembly resolution on the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. It was in fact P.S. Macharia, who was then your ambassador to the UN in New York, who gavelled it together with a great friend of mine, David Donoghue. So this logo, its circularity, represents the interrelationship of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They're all mutually dependent, and the 17th is what? It's partnership. So, very modest, but it would be my great pleasure to offer you this pin as a champion for the SDGs, James. Sometimes the smallest things are the most important.
Thank you very much, Stephen Jackson. Stephen Jackson, as we all heard in his introduction, is an academic doctor, holds doctorate. So doctors are used to lecturing, and after lecturing, they ask the questions. So I want to give the audience an opportunity to interact a little bit with a couple of questions that they may hold, either to seek maybe clarifications. But it's also important, because this is a joint effort for everybody, to add their voices about collaboration to create resilience in the community, to change lives using a proven Sustainable Development Goals platform. And most of us subscribe to the 10 principles that we see governing these initiatives. So there are mics looming. I will do the facilitation, and I will also direct questions to those on the podium. So Alif, you might get a technical question from from Steve. Is there a first one? Yeah, let's answer the questions before we sign, so that we'll be signing what everybody has understood. As you prepare your questions, Dr. Stephen talked about Wings to Fly. We are very excited that what started with a dream of 500 scholarships and a pilot of 152, by last year we had clocked 26,000 scholarships to need the kids. This year, the process is almost complete. The interviews have been done. We are now doing home visits to verify that what was said is the reality on the ground. And by end of next week, we will be granting another 10,750 scholarships, bringing the entire scholarships to 37,000 scholarships. So it's a week we are very excited, and it demonstrates when you use a framework or a platform that is neutral, like the wings to fly. We are just giving wings. We are not building a brand of anybody. Then everybody comes on board and you achieve much more. When we formulated, together with UNDP, an intervention to empower women and make it possible for women, and developed a loan product for women called Fanikisha. Fanikisha is a Swahili word for make it possible. Today, Fanikisha has branched into 9 different products and is the flagship product of Equity Group, a loan product. So these are great examples. When we chose to build capacity through business development services, financial literacy and entrepreneurship, we invited International Labour Organization to certify the training program. Looking back, we have trained 2.2 million young people and women. We were talking of millions. That is the power of collaboration with the right partner. When we chose to bring dignity in social payment and social safety net and remove people queuing outside administrators' offices waiting to be given support in kind, and we offered to administer cash receipts. Looking back today, for the 18 UN agencies that participate and government agencies, we are now paying 3.3 million households that benefit. And so far, we have paid 10 billion shillings in social safety net payments. That is the power of collaboration. And now, dignity has been delivered to the recipients. The money is credited to their accounts. They buy what they deserve, other than being given maize and beans. They can use it for school fees for their children. They can use it for their health. And they walk with dignity to a branch or an agent and withdraw money from their account. That is the power of bringing competitive. When Esther led us to collaborate with the UN agencies on agriculture, the ones based in Italy, World Food Program, IFO, and IFAD, today we've been able to migrate over 2 million farmers from being peasant farmers to agribusinesses. That is the power behind. But now, we're not collaborating with individual agents. We are now collaborating with the entire UN agents. So I visualize a situation where we'll be able to make a very significant difference within a very short time, because the platform for collaboration allows others to bring on their competencies and capability. So we have an integrated program that looks at all the facets of the needs of society that is on a journey to changing lives, on a journey of expanding opportunities, particularly for young people. So opportunities can be on a scale not seen before. Stephen, I really appreciate this. It's not about the size, it's the spirit. I feel proud to be a member and a champion of sustainable development goals. So allow me first, before signing, to put the pin on my lap. I guess it appears you removed yours. It's a lot of sacrifice in giving me. Oh, your colleagues have theirs on their lap. Alex, where are you to help me here? Okay, I understand. Yeah, very good, Steve. Now we look alike. So open that one for me. Yeah, your colleagues are suggesting I wear my mask and give you the opportunity to. to pin it on me.
Not very bad. There we are.
Thank you very much. And now, as a champion of SDGs, I'm prepared to sign. But if there is a question, I think Steve is still available. Oh, yes, please. Behind you.
A very good morning to you all. My name is Vanessa Ndavi from Vocal TV, and I have a question for Dr. Mwangi. My question is, do you have a platform for creatives when it comes to financing and giving them training as they start up their business? I know you've been very major on education as well as women empowerment and agriculture.
Thank you very much for an excellent question. Lydia, I can see you are in the house. You are the champion for art, creative. Maybe you could give us a brief on where we are, Lydia Keboro, on our initiative to support art and the creative world.
Thank you.
You can come, you can go there actually. Lydia Keboro is our Associate Director in charge of communication. We were privileged. She joined us from the communication world. She was promoting youth programs, and then she developed a lot of interest on art and fashion. Yes. And maybe you could talk where we are.
Thank you, Dr. Mwangi.
You are on your own, so if you feel comfortable, you can reduce you can remove the mask. Very good.
Thank you, Dr. Mwangi, and thank you for the question. Yes, we have a lot of interest in working with the young people, and we have been engaging with them quite a lot. One of the areas we have advanced quite much is young people in the arts, and especially in the area of fashion. So we have gone to the extent of developing a product that is out of research and collaboration with other partners. We found out that there's a lot of interest and a lot of skill in making fashion a business for young people. A lot of them have attempted, and they are attempting, and they're doing some good work. So the first thing we did was to bring them together, establish what the challenges are, establish what the potential that exists among them in terms of talent, and the opportunity to convert that talent into a commercial activity. So then after that, we worked with partners, and we developed a bank product called Maridadi, which is looking at how they can be accessing finance so that they can be able to commercialize their fashion enterprises or fashion ideas and convert them. We did engage them in a competition where more than 500 of them entered, and they were able to come in here and exhibit their exceptionally high talent in the area of conceptualizing fashion, converting it into wearable outfits. Some of the ones who won have gone ahead to make very viable business in the country. They have exhibited, I think one of them came and exhibited at the United Nations in one forum, and we think they are doing very well in terms of the consciousness that was equipped to them through financial literacy that was given by Equity Group Foundation. And then they went out and with the training and collaboration and market linkage through the Association of Fashion Designers of Kenya, these young people are now mainstreamed, and they're doing some good business in the market. Thank you very much.
And maybe to add, we now have 4 requests for financing development houses, such that they design, and then we centralize and aggregate all the designs for development. Kiogora, maybe you could talk about how you train them and the kind of training.
Thank you, Dr. James. Good morning. Yes, just in addition to the financial services, Equity Group Foundation, we also complement the capabilities and improve the capacity through non-financial services in the form of training, mentorship, and coaching in 4 main components. One is on financial education, where we encourage the young people to develop a culture of saving, a culture of reinvesting whatever incomes they are generating from the startup businesses that they are doing, so that they're able to grow those businesses. Then we also help them with entrepreneurship skills training, where we have adapted the ILO curriculum, which covers the whole spectrum, the start and improve your business content, right from idea generation up to improving the business, all the way. We also want to give the young people capability to tap into the opportunities that come with adapting technology. And so we also have a component on digital literacy training that supports them to engage even with government on the opportunities for providing services and goods, and tap into the 30% expenditure allocation that the government has accorded to young people and women also, but also on helping them to do records through electronic record keeping, through the digital financial services that the bank also offers. So we provide that knowledge and skills for them. And we've, as James has indicated, we've seen a good indication of the generation of jobs that they're also creating for fellow young people with a view of attaining those 25 million jobs. So training in those areas, and also business development services that helps to really help them develop a model that is sustainable and also that is scalable and competitive even in the global arena of doing business. Thank you, James.
Just before you sit, maybe you could share the data on our pilot program, Young Africa Works, how it was constructed, just to be sure that we'll be able to roll these, and what the outcomes were.
Thank you, James. Yes, so we have a flagship program called the Young Africa Works program, which is a public-private sector partnership between government of Kenya and Equity Bank. And in this program, the goal is to create 5 million jobs in 5 years. We've done the pilot phase over the last 2 years, where we worked in the first year with about 100,000 micro and small medium enterprises. We took them through training. We linked them to access financing of up to $1 billion from the bank, just to enable them meet their working capital needs, acquire assets, and even just catalyze their growth. So in that program, we did an evaluation, an outcome assessment, and we were able to see almost 450,000 jobs having been generated by the 100,000 businesses, which translates to an average of about 5 jobs per business. And it is that model that now we are scaling up across the region, and with the partnership with all these UN agencies and other private sector players, industry leaders such as the Chamber of Commerce, such as the Micro and Small Enterprise Authority, who are also government agencies that we are working with to mobilize more MSMEs so that we're able to attain that 5 million target that should translate to the 25 million direct jobs. Thank you.
Leif.
Thank you. I just wanted to perhaps add to the question that was asked. I have a personal interest as well as a musician. We had a visit to Silicon Valley with our friend C.S. Joe Mucheru and his team in January 2020, you know, with all the tech companies, academia, et cetera, the diaspora network. And one of the issues that we discussed was that a lot of the creatives and others, the innovators in Kenya and in Africa across, tend to be very young innovators. And a lot of these innovators have a lot of difficulty, registering their IPs. And secondly, I was staggered to hear that about 80% of all registered IPs are non-Kenyans. So we become a sandbox or a playing ground for innovators from other parts of the world a lot of young people that create amazing innovations tend to run out of cash, so they have someone sitting on the armchair behind them with 5,000 cash who buy off these innovations at a very early stage and then go on to make the next 50 million over the next 50 years. So what we're doing with Joe Mucheru and his team that regulates the creative industry now is to create an Africa IP company and to list this on African stock exchanges, because a lot of the stock exchange innovations tend to get delisted and tend to drift away again to other parts of the world. So for the creatives, this is extremely important, including musicians, but artists, fashion designers, and the like. So again, I think there's a great synergy already in the discussions we're having and the work that Equity is doing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kevin Rotich. I'm from Business Daily. So I wanted to know how much will you be spending on the 10,000 students? And are they joining Form 1 or universities?
Thank you very much. Equity Group has two programs. The first one is the Equity Leadership Program. The Equity Leadership Program picks the best performing girl and the best performing boy in any of the areas that we operate in, or we have a branch. Every year, that team comes to about 500. Then we pick all the wings to fly kids who have an A and an A minus. That eventually comes to about 700 kids every year. We give them a paid internship that by the end of the year when they're joining university, the money they have earned can be able to pay the entire public university fees. But we also give them an opportunity when they are in their summer holidays to come and work in the bank, so that truly they complete their education program, and by the time they finish university, they have 2 years of working experience, and so they have an advantage over everybody else. That program has shocked us because 80% of all university leaders come from that program. And amazingly, they take about 70% of all first-class qualifications when they complete. And it's because of the work-study environment, and they know what education means in a work experience. That program now has 17,000 scholars who have gone through to university. Out of that, about 1,200 have done medicine and have finished their medicine courses. And it is those ones we have offered an opportunity to own a clinic under the franchise Equity Equiafia. Dr. John Colid, am I misrepresenting? Equiafia? Equiafia. Dr. Colil has now 42 clinics that has been opened. The amazing power is that those clinics are now charging fees at least 40% lower than their peer service providers and at a higher quality. And we are hoping within 5 years we'll have been able to open 1,000 clinics already from the existing doctors. So that program is an ed-to-ed program. Those who finish and want to go to entrepreneurship and innovation, those we also provide them with the support so that they can establish themselves in business. We train them, entrepreneurship training program, and then we fund them. The clinics are fully funded as a loan. So you come, we develop, we build the clinic for you, we hire the staff for you, and you just come in and adopt, I think, a 12 million shillings loan, repairable over 6 years. All the clinics so far are breaking even in 6 months. In 6 months, the doctors are in profit. The first patients are the bank staff. Fortunately enough, the government has signed up for civil servants. NHIF have signed up for all its universal health, and I think all the insurance companies have signed because of the quality. So they're really significant. The second program is when we realized that Equity Leadership Program has a bias towards children from middle income. And we asked ourselves, intelligence is supposed to be evenly distributed. Why are we not getting children from the poor families, only middle income? And we realized it's because of the support kids get, or middle income kids tend to be the top performers. And then we did further research, we commissioned a research, and also realized the most gifted needy kids are never able to transit from free primary to the paying secondary education. And that was the genesis of the Wings to Fly program. We thought of giving them wings to be able to transit from the free education, primary education, to the secondary paying fees. We have been humbled by the kids that we took. Up to last year, we had 26,500 kids. The transition rate for those who have been able to sit for their exams is 86%. It means the child we pick in Form 1, 8.6 out of 10 have made it to university. Then we decided, okay, with this rate, can we give them opportunities for international universities on scholarships? I've really been surprised. We combined the Equity Leadership Program, the best performer, best girl and best boy, and the Wings to Fly. 38% of all our international scholars are from those Wings to Fly, who 87% are orphans. Because of the success of the program, the World Bank, our neighbors here, decided to scale the program last year. And they gave us 18,000 scholarships and a partnership with the government. And we called that special scholarship Elimu Scholars. Last year, we gave out 9,000 scholarships. This year, we're giving 9,000 scholarships, and our traditional 1,750, bringing out 10,750 scholarships, and bringing the entire program to 38,000 kids. That program picks a child from Form 1 all the way to Form 4. It's a comprehensive scholarship, provides health, provides pocket money, provides stipend, and uniform, and fees in a comprehensive way. Last year, under the COVID environment, we were uncertain about those kids, what will happen to them when schools are closed. So we, together with the MasterCard Foundation, we formulated a program of keeping them connected to the bank. And we gave them a monthly stipend of 3,000 shillings. If it's girls, to keep for their sanitary hygiene needs, food for the orphans, and the boys to keep them away from drugs, to give them something productive. We were shocked that the same completion rate of 98 was also observed last year, and they outperformed the results, they outperformed the previous year in terms of performance. So we felt. But in between, we bought for each of them a charger, a solar panel, a lamp so that they could be studying at home, a small radio so that they could be able to tune in into Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development for the online classes, all and then we gave them with the stipend a phone so that they could be able to call their teachers. So that is how comprehensive equity programs are, and they are quickly adjusted to the circumstances and the situation we find ourselves in. On the international program, this year has been our best year. We have got 121 international admissions, bringing our entire international scholarship program to about 869 kids. Out of that, Harvard has 36, and Preston has how many?
Yeah, come on. I think it has 12.
12 kids are at Preston. Those who understand, Preston is the most prestigious university on earth. Stanford has 28, Yale has 31. So 239 of those kids, almost 900, are in Ivy League schools. So those programs have been very, very successful. And as Stephen said, we are developing the next generation of ethical leaders who have global exposure and are globally connected. And hopefully that generation will be able to transform this country in a big way. Having answered all the questions, I think now, Stephen, let's take the opportunity and sign our partnership.
Thank you, James. So you can have Dr. Beth behind Dr. Mwangi, and maybe I leave behind Dr. Jackson and Ulrika.
Very good. I hope the fourth estate is ready so that you can take your best shot and hold us to account on outcomes of this.
It's all about execution.
It's all about execution.
Alif, if you can put the mic for Dr. Jackson a little bit down. Thank you. Now we are witnessing Dr. Mwangi and Dr. Jackson signing the partnership agreements. And there's another page, Dr. Jackson. Okay. Let's appreciate, and then we'll exchange the documents. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the mask is on, but we are taking comfort that both of us have taken the 2 jabs.
The 2 jabs. We're both vaccinated. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We're almost coming to the end of the. Are we good with the photos? No. No, you want us to take another one? Okay. All right. Dr. Mwangi and Dr. Jackson, kindly exchange the documents, but remove your masks, please. Just 1 minute.
And now exchange again. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Before we have our final prayer, Dr. Beth, you can do a word of thanks, and then we'll have Dr. Kariuki doing the closing prayers, And we also want to remind our friends and guests that we have some snacks, and Dr. Khalil will also pray for that as well. Back.
It's my singular honor to give a vote of thanks. I want to thank you so much, the team from the UN. I know it's a strange working environment as we work under COVID. So thank you for taking the time to drive all the way from Gigiri to be with us and for allowing us to host you. We appreciate the many weeks that Arif and Joy have taken the time to lead this partnership, to figure out what is the right framework, how do we mobilize the other partners. And I also want to thank my colleagues from the foundation who have been instrumental in shaping what are the contributions that we can concretely bring to the table, as well as our partners from the business. We had some representatives from our credit team who are going to help us to mobilize the financing, and as James likes to say, open the taps, and we will be sure that they will allow us to lend responsibly. Thank you to the Fourth Estate and for being with us here today. It was a bit cold in the morning, as we said, but we hope that, as Alex has said, we can be able to refresh ourselves. I wish you all the best, and we are committed to this partnership, and we will go ahead and execute collectively. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I humbly request that we stand as we dedicate this partnership. Our Father, once again we want to thank you and bless your holy name for this wonderful, huge partnership that we have witnessed here today. We want to thank you for bringing UN and Equity together to harness the synergies together towards the transformation of your people in this region. How we pray as we have witnessed indeed the kind of a groundbreaking where this partnership is people-centric, geared towards the well-being of your people. How we pray that this morning, as they have appended their signatures, may you also stretch forth your mighty hand upon this partnership, that the implementation part of it will be so effective, and that it shall become a vehicle that will catalyze the socio-economic transformation of the people in this area. I want to thank you, even as I pray that may this partnership reach the very people who are needy, reach the very people who are looking up unto this for their next level. We want to pray that, Lord, this partnership and the spirit of this partnership will excel in the implementation. May this mission prevail as we look forward to seeing a great change in the communities, societies, and the nations for the glory of your name. Bless United Nations, bless Equity Bank, and bless the people who are going to be beneficiaries. We thank you as we dedicate it before you. And as we part, we want to pray that, Lord, you also bless the snacks and the refreshments that we have before us, and also bless the rest of the day as your people go back to their various destinations to do that which you've called them to do. May they have a fruitful day today. For this we pray in your holy and precious name. Amen. Thank you. Alex?
Thank you. I just want to trouble a little bit Dr. Jackson and Dr. Mwangi. The PNAP, the UN, pin up. The media want to have a good photo. So we just replay the Beth.